Hey, welcome back to JG3 Reviews. My name is James, and here I explore the world of fountain pens, ink, and paper, and invite you to come along as I do. I appreciate always in the comments the suggestions that you make and emails and things, pens and inks and papers that you've found that have been fantastic. And I do appreciate it, actually, whenever you point out that some pens have been a disaster for you, because we need to hear all sides and all the different experiences people have had with pens and inks and things like that. So, appreciate all that. I thought today I would share with you not necessarily in this order, some pens in use, some pens rotating out of immediate use, and some impressions of each of those. But I also want to share with you some things that have been going on behind the scenes, just so you know why. I've had a few things that have disrupted kind of my normal rhythm and when I'm doing different videos and things. And I've got some reviews that I've mentioned before that I want to do, but they haven't shown up in the feed yet, and you may have been waiting on those. I'll give you a little bit of an explanation for that, and also give you a hint at an upcoming review in the next week or two that I'm really excited about. All right, the first pen that I want to look at that I've been using lately is a Cross Bailey Light. This was given to me anonymously from a viewer years ago, and comes in and out of rotation as pens do. And I liked the pen when I first got it. Over time, the nib just it didn't quite get in tune with me, I guess is the way it was. And so there was just something about it. And I took a closer look at it not too long ago, and I mentioned this, maybe in a past Pens in Use, that I did some nib tuning. Nothing major, just a little bit of micro mesh and some things like that. Checking the nib alignment, which was fine. All that kind of stuff. And I got it to where now not only do I like the nib tuning a whole lot better, but I actually find it much more reliable. No dry out problems or anything like that. And I just keep in it usually a classic blue, in this case Pelikan Royal Blue. And there is going to be a lot of blue today, but it's not all the same blue. No two blues alike. There might be some blues similar. And maybe the pen that I've used the most in the last week or so has been this Lamy Studio. I've had this for a few years now as a gift from my wife and daughters. And I love the pen. It's the Imperial Blue version, and I really like that propeller clip, and I kind of like everything about this pen, actually. I know a lot of people don't like that slick grip, but I've come to terms with that too, and I just think that overall, this is just a handsome pen. It's a good-looking pen, and it writes so reliably. And right now I have it inked up with Diamine Blue Black, which is a newer ink for me, kind of into the blue blacks here lately, as you'll see. And very, very reliable pen, and a good sophisticated design. I just really like the pen. And next I have up something that is a little bit different from the Studio, which is a little bit, except for that propeller clip, subdued. This is not subdued. It is a classic duofold shape, but this is the Jinhao 100 in like a peacock teal. I'm not sure actually what the official name of this acrylic is. I just know that the acrylic really caught my eye and I like it. I've reviewed the Jinhao 100 more than once, so I didn't see a reason to share this on the channel, but you'll see it in Pens in Use now and then because it really is just a great looking pen, and it's one of those that, just look at the material. But that color is so vibrant that unlike the Lamy, this does not go everywhere or with everything, you know. Sometimes it's just a little bit much, but in a good way, and a great writing pen. Now, before we get to this next pen, I just realized that I completely forgot to mention, all of the pens in this Pens in Use are pens that I have not reviewed recently, or maybe haven't reviewed at all. Certainly I have pens inked up that I've just done recent reviews on and that I'm enjoying writing with and having the rotation, but no recent reviews are featured in today's video. So we come back to Germany with the Lamy All-Star in Petrol Blue. This one is almost ready. I don't know, I can see it here because of the light. It is almost completely bone dry of Lamy's Blue Black, and I really like their Blue Black. I got some cartridges at a big box store not that long ago because they were there, you know, and I actually ended up liking Lamy's Blue Black. Probably considered a boring ink, but I kind of like it. And as you kind of get toward the end of the cartridge, and if you've let the pen sit for about a week, it works in some sheen on the right paper, which is kind of a cool bonus. You know, about a week ago, I was thinking, I don't have a single pen that has Noodler's Liberty's Elysium from Goulet in it at the moment, and there's a pen that almost always has that ink in it, and that's the Wingsung 601A. So I decided I had to fix that. So I inked this puppy up, and I remembered once again why I almost never leave it in the pen case empty for more than a month at a time because this is one of my favorite pens. It is, of course, a Parker 51 clone, and it is a really good one, frankly. It has a great filling mechanism. This one has a really good extra fine nib, so I haven't even swapped the nib out on this one. And I just like it. When I feel like I just want a retro pen and when I want to use this ink, this is my go-to, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Now, another pen that's almost never dry is this one, the Pilot Custom Heritage 92. I think if there's just a pen that just absolutely nails piston filler EDC pen, this has got to be it. It has so many things right. It has a good ink capacity. It's very reliable. I like that it has an unpretentious style. That makes it a good EDC pen. And it has a really great medium gold nib in it. And it just is reliable as the day is long and just a fantastic pen. Feels great in the hand. And it's a bit of a myth buster for me because there was a time when I would have said if you're going to buy an acrylic pen, a plastic pen, it shouldn't be above a certain price point. And this is unfortunately well above that price point, but this is a really good pen. Now the next pen, much easier to attain, and I think an underappreciated fountain pen for a lot of reasons, and that is the Platinum Plaiser. This is a fairly inexpensive pen. I think I paid maybe $15 for it back when I got it, and it really is terrific. It is aluminum. It's so light, and the feel, something about the coating on this pen, the feel is more like an acrylic pen in its feel or a plastic pen in its feel, high quality plastic. But it's not. It's aluminum with a really nice blue finish, light as a feather, but that's not even why I really like it. Why I like it is because this is another one of Platinum's pens with that slip and seal. It does not ever dry out on me. I mean, this pen has gone months at times without being used, which is really kind of dumb on my part, but yeah, it's always reliable and writes really well. And this one has a medium nib. It originally came with a fine, but I swapped it out with a medium that I had in a Preppy, I believe, that was just altogether too perfect a medium. And so I put it in this pen, and I like it that much more. And that's one of the things I like. The interchangeability of these grip sections and nibs is great because if you have pens of different size nibs, you just swap it into the body that you want to use that day, and it's fantastic. So the little invasion of the body snatchers facet of these pens is terrific, but this is actually one of my absolute favorite medium nibs. I don't care if you're talking cheap or expensive or steel or gold. This medium nib knocks it out the park. It's kind of crazy how well it writes. All right, that's almost all the blue inks, but not quite. There'll be another one here in a second, but first, let's switch over to blue related, and that is in my TWSBI 580 ALR. This is in rotation quite often, and it seems like it almost always is with this ink. I just think it suits the Prussian blue trim of the pen quite well. And the other thing I like about this pen is that it has a 1.1 stub nib, and I just think that at any given time you really ought to have a stub nib in rotation. Now this pen really needs to go into a review soon. This is a Sailor Prophet, and it has a 14 karat gold broad nib. It's in the classic 1911 style, and I really am enjoying the pen. Right now it just has plain old Sailor Black, the cartridge that came with the pen. I kind of like to put the original cartridge in first. It does have that classic Sailor pencil-like feedback, and it's a light pen with a good feel, and I'll enjoy sharing that with you in a review to come. And then next is a familiar pen on this channel because the Visconti Mythos in that brown resin. I enjoy this pen. It's in rotation fairly often. It's not in every one of these videos, but it's in a lot of them. And usually it's got a brown ink. And guess what it's got today? It's got a brown ink. This one is Monteverde's Brown Sugar. It is one of my favorite brown inks, and that is because of viewers who tipped me off to that ink a long time ago, and still enjoying it all the time. This pen has a gold-plated steel nib, and it writes very well. It wrote well right out of the box, and of course that brown ink is fantastic. All right, speaking of pens that I just never get around to reviewing on this channel, here's another one, the Wing Sung 618. I have had this pen for a few years now. It's not even at all new. And I don't know why I haven't gotten around to reviewing it, and it's really kind of not fair to the pen. I thought this was going to be just a cheapy little pen. When you first get it, the plastic feels a little bit cheapy, and I mean cheapy like cheapy, not cheapy like inexpensive. However, this pen has been dead on reliable, and so I keep a red ink in it all the time, and this one currently is inked with Diamine Red Dragon. That's pretty much the one I use the most in it, and it never has a problem. It doesn't dry out. It's always ready to go. I can leave it in there for weeks, go, take the cap off, and start writing. I don't even have to think about it, and it's just been great. No problems with the pen whatsoever. Now, there are some quirks about assembly and disassembly and things like that, and that's part of what made me think, oh wow, this pen is not going to get a good review, but it always works well, and I have no actual issues with it yet. And so when I get around to doing the review, it will be a multiple years long experience with the pen that I give that review from, not just a first impression. And I'm glad, because those impressions would have been different from one another, and I would have missed out on a really good pen. All right, here is the last of the pens that are currently in use. And yes, that does bring us right to a dozen. So what this is a Pilot Falcon Elabo. It is that famous Falcon nib with blue-black Pilot ink in it. And I'm not going to tell you too much about my impressions of it at the moment, because this is yet another review to come. But I will tell you this. This one, if you're going to get a flex nib from Pilot and you're going to use it all the time, this is the one that I would lean toward. I'm really enjoying it. And in that upcoming review, I'll tell you why. Whoa, 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 I almost forgot to give you a hint at what I'm going to review soon that I was so excited about. It's a new pen from Italy. This is the Delta Spaccanapoli, a steel-nibbed pen that is at the more affordable end of their range. This one in a blue and gray resin that I think just looks fantastic, and you're going to want to stick around for that review. So watch for this one in the upcoming week or two. Now, I mentioned some pens that are rotating out of currently inked use, but not for very long. These are going to be right back in, every one of them, I'm sure. One is the Wingsung 630. Mine is the steel-nibbed version of this pen, and I've just written this one completely dry after its last fill, and this pen will not be empty long, but it does need a really good cleaning. So that one is going out. If you're not familiar with that pen, you're going to want to watch that review, because this one is really just a fun pen and way better than it ought to be. Another one very similar is the Jinhao X159, this one in that burgundy red, and I keep it inked up pretty often too, actually, now that I think about it, but I prefer the Wingsung 630, but this is a fun pen. That number 8 nib, really, really good. The only thing I find is that, particularly with the red ink that I used before, which was Diamine Oxblood, it seems to be a little bit dry out prone, so I'll probably just try it with a different ink next time and see if that's just the ink pen combination or if it is the pen. And then the next one is the Eureka Dodecagon. It's not really going out of rotation at all. What it is getting cleaned out really thoroughly so that I can put a different ink in it and try a new ink. Because this one has been empty for a couple of weeks waiting to get cleaned, but my life's been so crazy. I haven't had a good pen cleaning session in weeks, and so I've got a pile of pens like this that are just waiting to be cleaned. And then, not a fountain pen, but it really wouldn't be true to what's in rotation if I didn't have a mechanical pencil, because there's always a mechanical pencil in rotation. In this case, it is the Kuru Toga. This is a new one for me. I've had a black one for years with the green trim, and I saw this one not too long ago with a clear grip section so you can see more of what's going on. Well, then, that had to go into one of my pen cases. This one's in the 0.7 millimeter style because that's what I prefer. And if you don't have a Kuru Toga in your writing instrument toolbox, you might want to think about changing that. All right, if you've hung on this long, thank you. If you have jumped to this section, I understand. What's been going on? Why have I disrupted my rhythm of video making here lately? Well, for one thing, that's going to happen every now and then, because this is still for me a fountain pen hobby, and I work hard to keep it in that perspective. So if there's a time where other things need to get in the way, then they need to get in the way. And that's kind of the way it's been lately, and it's always going to be that way, much to the chagrin of the algorithm, which really likes consistency. mainly, it's been that I just had too much going on in my family. And some of that's been really awesome stuff. Some of that's been challenges. And so let me fill you in. One, you've noticed that my background is really incomplete and is different. And that's because I'm filming in another room of our house that previously was occupied by my father-in-law. He's gotten a new home and moved out and all of that. And so we've been going through some transition there. That's been really good. He is enjoying his new place, and I think that's been awesome for him. And so we're really happy for him. The other thing is, now I do intend to put more than a map on the wall, and this will get better, I promise, but it may take some time. I've got more than just this wall to paint. I have a huge back porch and a small front porch that desperately need to be painted first, and I've got some other chores like that, and so some of those things are going to get in the way, so bear with me and, just kind of put up with the brown wall here for a little while. The other thing is a bit more personal than that, and that is that my dad has been going through some health struggles. He had a bad fall back in the fall in October, end of October, and that's been very challenging. Some consequences of that and some other health issues that arose during that time period that have really just hit him like a brick wall. And so naturally, that has cut into some time and some energy and some things like that. And if you are somebody who is the praying type, I definitely appreciate prayers for my dad in that regard, because he's still got a long recovery to go and some issues that are going on there. So that has and could potentially cause delays here and there. And of course, I know you all understand all that, and it's not a big deal if I miss a video for somebody that important. There have also been some really good things. My daughter has been in the one-act play for her high school, and they have done extremely well. And of course, every time they do well, that puts them up to the next level of competition. And just this last week, they went all the way to state. And if you're not familiar, the Texas UIL one-act play competition is the largest theater competition in the world. And for their size high school, they won first place at state. So I can feel the hairs on my arms standing up again. Very proud of her and all of that cast and crew. They did an absolutely excellent job. Not only did they do an excellent job in the performance, but they did an excellent job at connecting a very positive play with the audience, and it just was awesome. They just did an awesome job. And so I've been traveling a little bit, going several places in Texas to watch them perform, and they did a performance here for our city not too long ago in a local performance hall, and that was awesome. And they just really, really good. And so, not apologizing for the time that took. That was worth every moment. And then, other good news, I myself completed a degree that was related to my ministry that I've been working on for a while, and that was also, I think, more important to me than I realized it was. At first, it was kind of one of those things of, I need to get this done, and I'll get it done, and da-da-da-da-da. And then when the moment actually came to cross the stage and to get that done, it was really important to me. And one of the things I realized in that process was not just that it was important to me or for me. It was important for my family that has been supportive of me through all that process and the time that they've given and given up for me to be able to do that. And it was important for me to complete that work and see it through for my teachers, instructors. I appreciate everything that I learned in that process over the years, and I appreciate every sacrifice they made in order to do that ministry and to teach and invest in the students. And what they gave me affects me not just in a professional way, it affects me in a personal way, and I think in an eternal way. And should any of my instructors ever be watching, although some of them have already passed, I want them to know that I am so grateful for all the work that you did to help me get to this point. And so, yeah, I've been a little bit busy, but it's all been for good reasons, and many of those things, really good stuff. And I'm thankful for all of that and for being able to do all of that. Do you know what else I'm also thankful for? I'm thankful for you here at the channel. Y'all are a constant encouragement, and this is kind of the way that I relax, to be quite honest. Working with fountain pens and doing reviews and things like that, this is kind of one of my little steam release valves in the pressure cooker of my life. And so I enjoy this time because it also it lets me relax a little bit. So thank you for that. I appreciate you putting up with that. And with that, my question's going to be a little different today for the comment section. Instead of being pen-related, though feel free to say anything pen-related you want to, let's just take a moment to encourage each other about our life. What's been going on in your life that you were thankful for? What's been going on good? Is there something you're proud of that you've accomplished, something your kids or your grandkids have accomplished? What's going on with you? And, I am a praying person. If you are the praying type and you want somebody to pray for you, you can feel free to email me that, and I will pray for you as well. And as always, God bless you, and have a good week.